Let's finally finish fixing the spare wheel well on the 280Z. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the garage. I'm Brian, and we are going to jump back on the spare wheel well this week. This will be now the third weekend we've actually worked on the spare wheel well. I'm sick of working on it, and we need to finish it up. So last video, we went back and forth a bunch. Didn't have a plan, couldn't figure out exactly what we wanted to do. Settled on getting rid of that spare wheel well and just putting a flat panel in there. That's where we're at now. Obviously, we got a giant hole in the back of the car here where we popped the old one out. It's sitting over there with all my other crap that I get out of the garage. And we've got the new panel here ready to go in. So let's not mess around. Let's jump right to it and get welding this thing in the car. And there we go. We got that piece all welded in. It went pretty easy. Just had to make sure I was pushing it tight. I don't want a gap in between the panels because then it's not going to look right. You're going to get moisture trapped in there. Although we will be seam sealing this whole thing. But we still, want it fitting nice and tight. I used, obviously my clecos were holding it, and I used some self-tappers just to keep it tight while I was welding it, because I obviously can't push on the other side to keep it nice and tight. Here's the top side. I am going to grind all these flat and smooth just for aesthetics. And see, it's quite solid. I can barely deflect it. It does move just a tiny bit, but much less than I anticipated. I guess it is welded all the way around the outside, so there really isn't any room for it to bend or stretch or whatever. But still, I want to connect these right here. So we're gonna, like we said in the last video, we lost a lot of support back here, although I don't know how much it's going to matter, but that shape of the wheel well butted up against these all the way to the back, strengthened the rear of the car, and we've lost that by just putting this flat plate in. So I want to build rails that go here to here, and then I'll definitely connect this one to here. I'm not sure if I'm going to extend it all the way to the back. I'm thinking it'd be best if I did. Got to make sure I don't interfere with the gas tank as it goes in though. So that's what we're going to do now. I'll probably do a little bit of grinding and stuff here, clean some of these up a little bit, but I'm not planning on grinding this side perfectly smooth because it's not going to matter. I'll just make sure we're all set. But like this one here, I obviously got some crap in the weld, so bubbled. We'll take care of all that kind of stuff. But enough talking. Let's get these built here. I got to clean up here, chop them off probably square-ish. And I'm just going to make them out of sheet metal because that's going to be plenty strong for back here. We need to build this piece right here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go grab our big piece of sheet metal. We're going to cut a piece that's about 24 by 8. That gives us a little bit of extra length and a little bit of extra width because we got to go here, bend down, out, both sides. I'll trim it off after, once we know it's good. The excess, that is. But yeah, let's get that piece cut out so we can start bending it and get it in place. Now that piece we need to form is 2 1/8 inches wide, and I have found this piece of wood, this piece of scrap wood I found in the barn, and we are going to use this. This is exactly 2 1/8 right here, exactly the width we need. We're going to take our piece of sheet metal here, clamp it on like that, and form it down around. I think that'll work. Let's try it out. I added a piece of angle iron on top because the middle didn't want to actually bend since we weren't holding it there. It was just, the whole thing was flexing up. I think this will help. Seems like it worked pretty well to me. Let's do the other side. Now, we need to make these bends out on both sides, little feet, I guess. So what I'm gonna do is I got this set at exactly the right depth right there. We're going to take that and transfer that onto the other piece. Now the interesting thing is, these two pieces are not at the same height. If we put that there, so we got a little bit of a gap down there. So our bend is going to be a little bit crooked to make that fit right. What do you think of this? Looks pretty nice, I think. I'm very happy with how it came out. It took quite a bit to get it to bend. Because it's such a long piece and this metal is so thick, I didn't bother using my brake because I knew it wouldn't be able to bend it tight enough anyway. So, yeah, I mean, struggled a little bit, got it to bend though, and check out how well it's fitting. Got everything trimmed. Fits in there almost perfect. We can definitely make it look good with some welds. So I'm gonna go get this primed on the back side, clean up just a little bit here, maybe get some more weld through primer where it needs it, just from me cutting and messing with that, and then we'll get it welded in. Oh, and I also gotta get my holes for my spot welds along each rail. With this rail in place, plug welded along the edges here, I just tacked the ends. We'll finish welding that in a bit, but I basically repeated the process and made a couple more pieces. This one is gonna go right here, just to cap the end and tie into the rail we put in. This one right here is gonna go back here. It's real thin because it doesn't need to be super strong. I basically made this piece because if you go up on the top side and push on this floor, it'll deflect a little bit. And I'm thinking maybe if I throw something heavy in the back of the car or something, it could maybe dent that down a little bit. I don't know, probably overthinking it. But this was real easy to make up. And it fits above the fuel tank easily. There's plenty of room up there. So I figured why not go and do it. So now we're just gonna get these two pieces tacked in and then we can finish weld. All right, we got it all welded in. Fully welded all the way along there. Everything all along all of our seams. I didn't do too much grinding. I wanted to grind this down a little bit on these edges here, you know, I did here, but I didn't go crazy. I'm not touching anything else just because it's underneath the car. I don't want to waste my time. It doesn't matter. I also got this side all finished off. Had to do some grinding, obviously, because I wanted this side nice and smooth. So we are all good on this side, ready to go. And it's ready for primer, actually. And now what we got left is we gotta make our new mounts for our gas tank. This side's still good. Our strap goes right here, hooks in over here. It sits up against this piece and right here. But up here, we have none of the structure that we did before. We don't have our piece over here for the strap to hook into because that was on the bottom of the spare wheel well. So that's the next step. We gotta get our fuel tank in there, get it level, and build something for our mount for it to sit on right here, just to keep it in place when the strap tightens down, and put a mount back here for the strap to come around and hook into. So that is what we're gonna get to next. So I think the best way to do this is to flip the car completely upside down. That way we can set the fuel tank right on top. Alright, I've been messing around trying to get this gas tank exactly where I want it, and I've got it perfect now. I got a level on there, the car's perfectly level, the tank is perfectly level, that is good. I got a couple blocks of wood underneath there just holding it up right now. The strap on the other side is on there and tight exactly where it needs to be because nothing on that side moved. We don't have to worry about that side, so that helps us locate the fuel tank exactly where it was. Now, one stroke of luck that I just discovered is the mount for this side is actually going to be very easy to do. Cut this off of the spare wheel well and cleaned it up, and it's still in great shape, nothing wrong with it at all. But the thing that I discovered that's going to make this easy is if we throw this on here with this strap, because it's still got the hole for the strap obviously, that actually is designed so it sits right there on the fuel tank. That's where that part of the fuel tank actually sat against. So all we got to do is make a couple mounts for that. Basically, we need something down there at the bottom to hold that up off of this rail that we put in, and then something back here to hold it against this right here. Maybe just a piece of angle line or something off there. I'm not sure yet. But honestly, I think that should be about all we need, other than making a mount to replace this right here. Actually, we don't even have any weight on that right now. I got a piece of tubing up there keeping the tank rolled forward. It wanted to roll back because there's nothing supporting it in the back right now. But yeah, I think what we're gonna do is make some mounts to mount this on here where it needs to go on the car. Then we can use that to keep that where we want. Just build a little pedestal right here, and that might be it. I think this is actually going to be fairly easy. Well, here's what I came up with. This is that bracket right there, right? And it's just going to sit in here. Something like that. So we just need to weld this piece of angle iron that I welded onto the bracket right here. Same thing down here. And let's get that done. All right, we got this mount in place, just tacked in, just like that. We're obviously gonna fully weld that, but we need to make one more mount because right now there's nothing holding up the back from tipping down. I had blocks of wood here, not needed now. I do have a little pedestal stuck down there, just holding the back up. So we need one more mount, and it Took me a little bit to figure out what I wanted to do. Because there's rubber pieces that stick to the gas tank so that it dampens vibrations and helps keep the fuel tank and everything from rusting. If you got two pieces of metal rubbing on each other, obviously they're gonna rust because they're gonna wear the paint off. Normally that would have been right here. That's where it was originally. I didn't like that being in the center of my panel here. There's no support, it would just flex. So what I did is I moved that piece of rubber so that it lines up with this right here. Because there's plenty of strength in that, right? So what I did for a mount, just took a piece of flat bar, put it on a piece of scrap little square tubing that I had, and that's just gonna fit right on there, tack it in place, and we'll be good. There we go, got those all welded in. Not exactly my best welds, but they'll hold good enough for what they're for. So we got one more thing to do before we set that gas tank back in there and make sure everything still fits, which it should. But I gotta let those cool though, and while those are cooling, we're gonna put this in. So this is the heat shield that goes between the gas tank and the exhaust, and it was mounted to the side of the spare wheel well. Obviously it's not now. I wanna put it back. So I just bent up a little bracket real quick, super easy. Used my shrinker to give it a curve, just tacked it back in place where it was before, and we're gonna tack it to the floor right there. Well, check it out. All mounted, ready to go. It's nice and solid. We got our heat shield back right where it needs to be. Honestly, very happy with how that turned out. Overall, we got a lot done on this one. At the start of this video, we didn't even have anything in the back. So this one, we welded in the new panel. We did all of this fabrication for these channels here. And we got our mounts figured out for the gas tank. And we don't have to worry about that. This rear section of the car is now done. I got nothing left to do other than clean up my welds just a little bit, put some primer on it so it doesn't rust, and we can move on. So let me know if you guys would have done this any different. I'm happy with how it turned out. The only thing I would do different is if I had a bead roller, I would do some rolling of the panel. I would have liked to put the Z in it like I mentioned before, like Dusty Mac did, or something like that. I thought maybe the Block Garage logo would have looked cool, but we didn't do that. Can't do it now. And that's all right. We can move on, not worry about it. Happy to have that done. Up next, well actually before we say up next, we gotta go check something off on the list because we don't have much left over here. So let's see, spare wheel well, checked off. On there, what do we got left? Roof, we know what we're doing. We got a new roof to go on there, that's next. A tiny bit to do behind the dash. I've showed that off in a couple videos, but there's a tiny bit of rust right here. That should be incredibly simple because that's going to be 100% hidden. Nobody will ever see that. Cut out a little square, weld new square, and done. And then the rear bumper area. Only reason we can't do that right now is because we're using the bumper shocks to hold our rotisserie, and I'm going to be filling those holes in. So that will have to be done once it's on the ground or on the quick jacks. So yeah. Roof is the only big thing left for rust. It's the only big thing left for rust, and that is amazing to say. So next video, look forward to that. We're going to be jumping right on that roof, get that done. Let me know what you think about this one, if you would have done anything different with the whole area in the back with the spare wheel well, or with the gas tank mounting. I think that turned out very well. And yeah, if you aren't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, leave me a comment, like the video if you want, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Oh, it is? Go ahead and grab it, bring it in. It says says Mom's name on it, so.
Yeah. I said it was coming today.
Cool.
Yeah.
Were you watching the whole time? Were you watching for a UPS the whole time?
No, I just realized.
All right, love you.